In this video, I'd like to talk about the math question of the day for Wednesday, July 12th, 2023. And with this problem, we are given the graph of a circle, and we need to determine the equation of the circle. And questions like these are typically seen in a geometry class. So at this point, go ahead and pause the video, see if you can work through this on your own. And when you're ready, unpause the video and we can go through this together. Now, assuming that you have attempted the problem, let's start working through this. And when finding the equation of a circle, it's helpful to know the general equation. Let's say that we have some circle where the center of the circle is at h, k, and the radius of the circle, the distance from the center to the edge of the circle, we can say is r. Then the equation for this general circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared, and this is equal to r squared. I will not derive this formula in this video. I've made previous videos on that, but in this video I will show you how to use that. And to find the equation of this given circle, we need to figure out the coordinate of the center, and we need to figure out the radius, and then we can just plug in those values. So let's start by drawing the radius here. It's the distance from the center to the edge of the circle. And we can also figure out the coordinate for the center of the circle. Notice it has an x value of -1 and a y value of 1. So we can say that the center of the circle is at -1, 1. Now, to figure out this radius, there are several methods. One is that we can just draw a line straight up or straight down to determine it that way. Another method is that we can make a right triangle here. We can draw a horizontal component here and a vertical component here. This is a right triangle. And then from there, use the Pythagorean theorem to figure out this side length. But for this one, it's fairly straightforward if we just draw in this radial distance going either up or down to the border. We can see where it lands. It's clear for this particular problem, but if it's not clear, again, we can just use this Pythagorean theorem here. And what we can see is that we're at a y value of 1, and we go up to this y value here, which is at 2.25. So if we find that difference, 2.25 minus 1, this would be 1.25. And likewise, if we consider this y value down here, this is at minus 0.25. And again, it starts at a y value of 1 and then goes down to minus 0.25. Well, it's a distance of 1 to go to the x-axis and then an extra 0.25 to go there. So we get 1.25. If we want, we could check that by looking horizontally from the center as well and see that since we're at -1 and we go to 0.25 here, that again would be a distance of 1.25. But if we do want to find it with the Pythagorean theorem, we could check it doing it that way. This is a distance of 1. This right here would be a vertical distance of 0.75. If we square each of these, add them together, and then take their square root, we will find this is 1.25. So many ways to find the radius, but the general conclusion is that in this case, the radius, which we call r, is 1.25. Now, at this point, let's plug in everything we know into our general equation here. And then we'll have the equation of the circle, which we can test with this given coordinate point, since we can notice that this coordinate point here has an x value of 0 and a y value of 1.75. So let's plug in what we know into our equation. We know that h, the x value of the center, is -1, and k, the y value of the center, is +1. So we have x minus h, or minus -1, which is the same as adding 1. We square that, Then we add y minus k, or y minus 1. We square that. And then we have the radius squared. And remember, 1.25 can be rewritten as 5 over 4. We could write this as 1 plus 0.25, and 0.25 we know is just a fourth. So from here, we can see that this is equal to 5/4. And writing it as a fraction just makes it a bit simpler to square it. So we have 5 over 4, and we'll square that. So we could write that as 25 over 16, or we could still deal with decimals. Decimals are perfectly valid here. We would just have to multiply 1.25 by itself. And I did mention we can test this. We can plug in this coordinate point here and see what we get. So if we plug in 0 for x, let me write this down. We're plugging in x is 0 and y is 1.75, which is 7/4. If we write that as a fraction, if we plug both of these in, we get 1 squared here, and 7/4 minus 1, or minus 4/4, would be 3/4. And let's simplify this. We get 1 plus 9 over 16. If we give this a denominator of 16, we have 16 over 16 plus 9 over 16, and we get 25 over 16. So we can see that this point is indeed on the circle, since when we plugged it into the equation we found for the circle, we got back something that makes perfect sense. So we can feel confident that this right here is our final answer for the equation of this given purple circle.